When I first met Claire, she had this aura of independence that drew me in. She wasn't like anyone else I'd known, sharp-tongued, confident, and endlessly charismatic. Most men either adored her or feared her, and I guess I was naive enough to think I could be the one who truly understood her. To me, her independence was magnetic. To her, it was armor. In the beginning, everything felt perfect. We spent hours walking through the city at night, laughing about nothing, sharing secrets that felt sacred. She told me she had been burned before, betrayed by people who wanted to control her. I swore to her I wasn't like that. I believed love was about choice, not possession. And maybe that was the mistake. I gave her freedom with open hands, but she saw it as weakness. I started to notice little things. Nights when she'd vanish without explanation, her phone lighting up with messages she'd hide from me. I told myself I trusted her, but inside I felt that gnawing unease. Still, I didn't question her, because when she looked at me with those defiant eyes and said, "Don't cage me, Daniel. I belong to no one," I convinced myself that was just her way of asking for trust. But trust only works if it's mutual. And the more I gave, the more she took. When she needed support, I was there, paying bills when she was between jobs, picking her up at midnight when she claimed her friends had left her stranded, covering for her when her family questioned her choices. I gave without keeping score, because I thought that's what love was supposed to look like. Then came the night that shattered everything. She stumbled in at 3 a.m. Perfume not her own clinging to her clothes, lipstick smudged in a way I knew wasn't mine. My chest tightened as I asked her where she had been. She just laughed, actually laughed, and said, "You really don't get it, do you? I don't owe you anything. I belong to no one." Her words cut deeper than any knife. I stood there, realizing I had been nothing more than a safety net, a comfort she returned to when it was convenient. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to beg, plead, or cry. I was going to make sure she learned the same truth she threw in my face. I owed her nothing. The morning after her declaration, I didn't shout or demand explanations. I simply watched her move around the apartment as if nothing had happened. She hummed while making coffee, wearing one of my shirts like it was hers. And that's when it hit me, she had grown comfortable in taking, never giving. My silence was the perfect stage for her performance. I decided to test her. That evening, I told her I had been offered extra shifts at work and would be gone most nights. She barely looked up from her phone, only saying, "Do whatever you need to do, Daniel. I'll manage." The truth? I didn't take extra shifts. Instead, I pulled back piece by piece, watching how she behaved when I wasn't her shadow. Days turned into weeks, and the cracks widened. The bills she expected me to cover piled up. The rides at midnight I used to provide? Gone. The endless patience when she disappeared for hours? Replaced by silence. She didn't notice at first. She was too busy living her double life, floating between friends, admirers, and whoever else stroked her ego. But eventually, reality started knocking. I remember one evening vividly. She came home frustrated, tossing her bag on the couch. "My card got declined at the store. Did you forget to transfer money?" she snapped. I didn't even look up from my book. Calmly I said, "I thought you didn't owe me anything, Claire. And I don't owe you either." Her face froze. For once, she didn't have a quick retort, no cutting remark to put me back in my place. Instead, there was a flicker of something. Fear, maybe? It vanished quickly, replaced by anger. She stormed into the bedroom, slamming the door so hard the frame rattled. But I wasn't shaken. In fact, I felt lighter. Each day I withheld the things she had always taken for granted. I regained pieces of myself. She had built her entire world on the assumption that I would always be there to pick up the pieces. Without me, she was forced to face the truth. Her independence was a mask, and behind it, she was just someone terrified of standing alone. The more I stepped back, the more frantic she became. Late-night calls turned into desperate texts. She tried sweet words, promises, even apologies. But I didn't bite. I had already learned my lesson. She could scream, "I belong to no one," all she wanted, but that also meant she could no longer belong to me. Claire's desperation only deepened as my silence grew heavier. Once she had been the one with control, deciding when to appear, when to disappear, when to hand me crumbs of affection. But now, she found herself knocking on doors that no longer opened. One evening, she tried to sit next to me on the couch, her tone suddenly soft. "Daniel, maybe I said things I didn't mean. You know me, I get carried away. I didn't mean to hurt you." I turned my head slowly, studying her. This was the same woman who, weeks ago, looked me in the eye and told me she belonged to no one, as though my devotion was worthless. And now here she was, reaching for me only because the safety net she'd mocked was no longer beneath her. "I think you meant every word, Claire," I replied, my voice calm but sharp enough to cut. "And I believed you." Her eyes flickered with panic. "Daniel, don't do this. Don't push me away." "You know I interrupted. "You belong to no one, right? That's what you said. So live like it. Handle your rent. Pay your bills. Find your own way." Her mask cracked. For the first time, I saw the fragile truth beneath her bravado. She had built her power on manipulation, on convincing others to give while she took without shame. But now, faced with the weight of real independence, she faltered. The following days were a spectacle of contradiction. She stormed out declaring she didn't need me, only to return hours later, her eyes red from crying. She accused me of being heartless, then pleaded with me to forgive her. But through it all, I remained steady, my silence louder than any argument. Friends began to notice the shift. Some whispered that I had grown cold. Others that Claire looked like a shadow of herself. But I didn't care for their opinions. I wasn't cruel. I was free. Every step I took away from her chains was a step back into my own life. The climax came one Friday night when she burst into the apartment holding a box of her belongings. "Fine," she shouted, her voice trembling. "You don't want me? You'll regret this. No one will ever love you like I did." I stood in the doorway, watching her. For a moment, I almost felt pity. But then I remembered the sting of her words, the arrogance in her claim that I owed her nothing. I simply nodded. "You're right, Claire. I won't regret it. Because I've finally learned, I owe you nothing at all."